Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel Pretty in Paper by B, where we are all about sharing the joy of pretty papers. Now today we are on to episode 4 of my zoo animal iris folding series, and I thought we'd keep it nice and simple this week and make a beginner's greetings card using an elephant iris folding pattern. So I've put everything you need in the box down below. Gather your supplies, get comfy, and let's get crafting. So as you can see, I've got all my craft supplies out ready for today's session. And the first thing that I've done is I've cut up the elephant pattern PDF into the separate pieces. Now the card template is the first piece that we're going to use. I'm going to line this up along the top of my A4 piece of card. And I'm going to use this to put a couple of marks along the bottom of the template. And this is so that we can cut our piece of card down to size, because today we are making a square greetings card. So we need to make sure that we're starting with the right size piece of card. I'm going to draw up these two marks to get a nice straight line. Alternatively, you could measure, and this piece of card that we're cutting today will be 297mm by 148.5. So I'm just going to cut off that strip of card on the right hand side, as this is the bit we won't need. Once you've cut the piece of card down to size, you're going to need the card template again, and this time we're going to trace the outline of the elephant shape. And this just helps give us a guide for when we're cutting out our elephant aperture. Press into the card gently and you should end up with a nice indented line in the card, just like you can see here. And this will be what we use as a guide for our cutting. So now you'll need to grab your craft knife and your cutting mat and place them on a table. Place your piece of card over the top of the cutting mat and use your craft knife to carefully cut out the elephant aperture, keeping your hand behind the cutting. Once you've finished cutting out your elephant aperture, you can remove the elephant shape. And now we need to position the pattern on our table. So you're just going to need a couple of pieces of blue tack here and stick them to the corners of the reverse of the pattern. And then place the pattern firmly onto the table. And this just holds it in place while we're doing our iris folding and stops it moving throughout the process. You'll need a little bit more blue tack now to stick the aperture over the top of the elephant pattern. And again, this just stops the card moving throughout the process to make sure our folds are going in the right place. Once you've done that, you'll need to gather your pretty papers. So as you can see, I've chosen 4 purple papers at the top, and you'll need to cut your pretty papers into 2cm strips, probably 2 or 3 of each of your pretty papers. Once you've done that, grab your pattern guide, and this will tell us exactly where to place each of our pretty papers around the elephant. Then grab a strip of your paper colour A and fold over an edge of about 5 to 7mm. It doesn't matter too much how big the fold is. Note there are some areas on the elephant where the strip must cover 2 sections, so make sure you're cutting a strip large enough to cover both of the numbers. Place over both of the number 1s with the folded edge facing the centre and stick in place with 2 pieces of sticky tape. Once you've done that, continue working around your elephant following the pattern guide and placing your paper strips. Once the final strip of your pretty papers is in place, we need to cover the centre of the folding, known as the iris. So I've chosen a piece of purple glitter card for this, and I'm just going to place it face down over the centre and stick in place with a couple of pieces of sticky tape. Now you can turn over your elephant and look at all your hard work. I absolutely love this pattern. I think it creates quite a nice Perfect. So now we're just going to fold our card in half. I'm going to use a scoreboard for this, but you can just do this by hand. And score a line at the halfway point. And then just press the crease using the scorer again to make sure the fold is nice and flat. So now this is looking more like a greetings card. Before we cover those messy folds, I'm just going to add a little bit of silver thread across the top right corner of the card. And I'm going to do this now so I can hide the ends of the silver thread when I hide all the folds. And I'm going to use this thread in a minute to make some bunting. But first, I'm just going to stick both ends of the thread down, making sure that it's in place and nice and secure. And then we can use an insert to cover the ends of the thread and all the messy iris folding work that we did on the back. So I'm going to have this going across a bit like that, I think. And then again use the tape to secure in place. Can be a little bit tricky with these long nails. Okay, so now that we've got that in place, we can cover the messy work on the back. Now to do this, I've cut a piece of paper just slightly smaller than the card template that we used at the start, so it'll leave a little bit of a border. I'm going to fold this in half, and then I'm going to use some double-sided sticky tape around the edge of one half of this piece of paper. I'm going to follow the edges and cover the back with the tape. Once all the tape is in place, I'm going to peel the backs off the sticky tape, which I always find tweezers are super handy for this because I find it really tricky to get the ends with my nails. So I'm using my tweezers to pull the backs off, and then I'm going to line up the fold on the insert with the fold on the card and use the double-sided tape to cover the back of the iris folding. Make sure I get this nice and central. And then once in place, you can press down. And there you have your insert, and it'll just keep that messy work that we've done hidden and add a nice little bit of detail to the inside of your card. Okay, now time to decorate the front. So as you can see, I've cut out 3 triangles from the pretty papers I've used in the elephant, and I'm going to use these to create that bunting using the silver thread that we've placed at the top of the card. So I'm just going to use a bit of glue and my tweezers to position these along the thread to look like bunting. Now the bunting is in place, I'm going to add a little sentiment to the front of this card, and I thought these silver peel-offs would work nicely with the design. And I've chosen congratulations because I think this would make quite a nice new baby card, so congratulations is pretty appropriate. I've cut out a few pieces of card that I'm going to use to make a little banner, but first I need to negotiate this peel-off with my tweezers without tearing it, because these peel-off stickers can be a little bit fragile, so tweezers can help with the finer detail of them. So I've cut out, as you can see, these little strips of card. I'm going to make sure they're big enough for my greeting. So if I put the peel-off on first, I can then cut it down to size. So I'm going to position the congratulations on the card. Try to get it central. Again, tweezers make this process so much easier. And when I've got this down, I can trim my purple card to size. And then the glitter card, I've just cut slightly wider than this lilac card. And it'll just be so that it'll make a nice border around the little banner. Just like so. So I can trim the glitter card to size as well, just making sure I've left enough space. And I'm going to use foam sticky pads just to make this feel a little bit more three-dimensional, and place these on the back and then peel the backs off the sticky foam pads, and I can mount this to the front of the glitter card. Nice and simple. These foam pads are super easy to take the backs off. And when I've got this in place, make sure it's nice and central again. I'll cut the bit of glitter card down to size so that it's got a nice even border around the edge. And then just mount this to the front of my card. Now I think I'm going to use some more foam sticky pads for this again. Just raise it off the surface and add a little bit more depth and dimension to the card. And then position it centrally just along the bottom of the greetings card. Just like so. Perfect. Okay, for the last couple of finishing touches, I thought I'd use these butterfly paper punches because I've used the butterfly paper in my elephant, so I thought it would tie in that element nicely. And I'm going to fold them in half so that they'll be raised off the surface of the card again, and use a little bit of glue along the body of the butterfly and stick down. Also, there's a good tip for you guys. If you don't have any fine tip glue adhesive pots, you can use a paintbrush and this is just a takeaway tub lid that I put a blob of glue on, and just make sure you wash your paintbrush out afterwards, and yeah, it's a perfectly acceptable alternative to fine tip glue. So I'm going to do the same again with this little butterfly and just position them in the top left corner of the card so they kind of look like they're flying away. And there you have it, an iris folding elephant greetings card. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and leave your comments below, and tap the bell so you don't miss any of my new videos.